So right before we start, I wanted you to look at the screen here. You'll see that there are steps of ablution in the columns, and in the two columns next to the steps column, you'll see one, the obligatory pillar or fard, and you'll also see next to that the recommended or nafil. Okay, in the obligatory column, if there is a check marked, that means the ablution cannot be completed without performing that step whatsoever, because it is a pillar or fard in Arabic. And as for the recommended or nafil, if the person were to perform that step in their ablution, then they would be rewarded because it is recommended, sunnah, meaning that it's not mandatory. You'll get rewarded if you do it, and if you don't, the ablution would still be valid. Okay. So now each step in the ablution that we'll read will either be marked as obligatory or fard or recommended nafil, and sometimes both. Now we'll read the lesson, inshallah. Purification ritual, ablution. What is the order of ablution steps? Okay, step number 1, intention. It is the decision of the heart upon the action being done and a natural step that occurs when performing ablution. This step is obligatory. It's an obligatory pillar and is fard. Point number 2, washing the hands to the wrists. This is recommended. 3 times is the count. Number 3, rinsing the mouth, madmada in Arabic. This is also recommended. Number 4, inhalation and expulsion. Inhaling the water into the nose and expelling it out. This is recommended as well. Number 5, washing the face. This is obligatory. This step is obligatory. So it's 1 time, you have to do it. Cannot be done without it. And 2, and recommended 2 times besides the pillar, besides the first one, which is the fard, the pillar, the obligation. Step number 6, washing the hands to the elbows. One must wash the hands from the tips of the fingers to the elbows. This is obligatory 1 time and recommended 2 times besides the pillar. Step number 7, wiping the head. This is obligatory 1 time. Step number 8, wiping the ears. This is recommended 1 time. Step number 9, washing both feet to the ankles. This is obligatory fard. It is a pillar 1 time, and it is recommended 2 times besides the pillar. Step number 10, maintaining the order. Ablution steps must be performed in order. This is pillar, it is fard. Step number 7, continuation. The body parts during ablution must be washed one after the other with no lengthy interruption between washing one and the next. This is a pillar. Okay. Okay, so in step number 1, the intention, there are 2 parts to it. The first part of it, which means the general intention, which says the decision of the heart upon the action being done. This is just the general intention. This is what it means. In the second part of it is, it says a natural step that occurs when performing ablution. So meaning in the ablution, before any person decides to perform it, they make the decision to perform those actions. So having the intention in the ablution. Okay, so as I read in the lesson, you notice that some of the steps are marked in both columns, in the pillar column and the nafil column. So in these cases, a person must perform the step once as the pillar and can also perform it 2 other times besides the 1 time as the pillar. For example, if you take a look at Bismillah. Point number 5. Point number 5 says washing the face. It is marked 1 time for the pillar and also marked 2 times besides the pillar. So the first time they perform it, it's required. It's obligatory to do so. And the 2 times after it's performed, it's considered sunnah. So the 1 time, it has to be done. The ablution will not be valid without it. It has to be done. And the 2 other times, if a person decides to do it, it's sunnah. They can and they cannot. They can or not do it. Okay. Now in number 6, where it says washing from the hands to the elbows, what's crucial to know here when performing this step is that the water must start by touching the tips of the fingers and making your way all the way up to the elbow. Okay. Now, if we move on to point number 10, it says maintaining the order. So every person performing ablution must make sure that they are performing the steps in order. For example, again, I can give an example of point number 5 and point number 6. So point number 5, which says washing the face, and point number 6, which says washing the hands to the elbows. So if someone is performing these steps and starts by washing point number 6 from the tips of the fingers and the hands all the way up to the elbows, and then goes on to the step after washing the face, which is point number 5, their ablution would be invalid. Why? Because they did not maintain the order. And again, maintaining the order of the steps of ablution is a pillar in the ablution ritual. Okay. Point number 11, if we look at point number 11, it says continuation. So here it means that when performing ablution, it's not allowed to take long breaks between the steps. For example, if someone's performing one of the steps and then they pause to go, step outside or, talk to somebody and then come back and continue, that's considered invalid. Their ablution would be invalid. They can't stop for any reason for a lengthy period between these steps in ablution. That would invalidate the whole ritual. And alhamdulillah, that concludes today's lesson on the purification ritual of ablution. Jazakumullah khairan.